Right, I'm just making a quick video. I'm at Yeovilton Air Museum, Fleet Air Arm Museum, and I just want to do a quick walk around and show you what they've got. The first thing we've got here, we've got a Lynx, which is rather nice, and it's got 4 sea skewer missiles. These are a light anti-ship missile that the Lynx carried. This in here, it's a bit of a sort of a Falklands display. You see up there, look, we've got a Harrier on a ski ramp, Falklands era Harrier, and then we've got a Sea King, which is mocked up Royal Marines sort of thing, with a door gunner, with a gunner in the door. As I say, I've not been to this museum, the Fleet Air Arm Museum, for about 35 years, I think. They've also got, look, they've got a Concorde. This apparently is the second test aircraft, and it's all full of instruments, and you can walk through it and have a walk through the Concorde. You've also got a Harrier. This is a AV8 Harrier. This is a later model Harrier, which has got some nice rockets on it, look. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a quick walk through the halls just to sort of give you an idea what they've got. I think this is Hall 4, and like I said, they've got the Concorde. They've got a Ferry Delta 2, and this was a test aircraft used to research building the Concorde. It's got the same sort of nose that drops down. There's a Kestrel, which is like an early Harrier prototype, the Kestrel. But if we have a walk through to, I think this is the next hangar's Hangar 1, I think. I'm not going to show you every aircraft, but just to give you some idea of what they've got. This is a Supermarine Walrus, and this aircraft was launched off ships. They'd launch it off sort of battleships and cruisers on a catapult, and then if you look at the underneath of the aircraft, it's got a boat-like hull. It could land on the water, and then they could crane it back on the ship and recover it. And the main purpose of the aircraft was it was a spotter aircraft. And when they were in a battle and they were firing their guns at enemy cruisers or enemy battleships, this would sort of fly over, radio back to the ship, and calculate the fall of shot, so that the battleship could adjust their guns to get more accurate fire on enemy ships, sort of thing. There's a few helicopters. There's a nice Wessex helicopter here, and rather nice. It's got a depth charge, inert depth charge on the side, look. So they use that, drop that on enemy submarines to destroy enemy submarines. We've got another Wessex there, and then we've got a Sea King, which you can walk through. It's open, there's steps. Kids have been going through it, and you can have a walk through the Sea King sort of thing. Look, yeah, rather nice. Then if we have a walk through to the next hangar, there's some Second World War era fighters. There's a big torpedo. That's the sort of thing you'd have slung under a fairy swordfish. And we've got a fairy swordfish up there, sort of thing. There's a Corsair here that's in Royal Navy colours. Obviously this is an American Second World War aircraft that we would have seen action. It saw action in the Second World War. The Americans used it on their aircraft carriers. It also saw action in the French-Vietnamese Indo-War. The French used them against the Viet Cong before the Americans went in, sort of thing. But it's rather nice. It's been restored, or it's in the process of being restored. It's really nice. Got its wings folded, ready to go on an aircraft carrier. And then I think probably like one of my favourite aircrafts is a Hawker Sea Fury. So we've got a Hawker Sea Fury and we've got a MiG-15. And say the older Hawker Sea Fury was one of the few piston-powered aircraft which shot down a jet. So it shot down, or you see it in a minute, you shot down this MiG-15 that's next to it. And I believe that there was basically like, I think there was like 4 or 5 Sea Furies took off and they were doing a patrol. And a couple of MiG-15s sort of rolled in to attack them. And the Sea Furies opened fire with their guns. I think they've got sort of, you can see there, sort of 20mm cannons. And they shot down one of these MiG-15s. But actually the guy that shot the plane down didn't get the credit. The commander of the unit, the flying off the aircraft carrier, the commander, he took the credit for getting the kill. And he knew that he hadn't fired his guns. So on the way, after the incident, on the way back to the carrier, he did a gun test and fired his guns, fired a few rounds off. And so when they landed, he could say that he'd shot down the MiG. And yeah, so if you sort of look on Wikipedia, the guy that's supposed to have shot it down hasn't. It was somebody else. What I'll do now, I say that there's the best thing in here. They've got like an aircraft carrier deck. So they've got another Wessex, and you can walk through the Wessex, and it's running. There's sound effects like you're in a Wessex, and it's going through the sky because it's noisy. If you look here, look. So you walk through this Wessex. Get the noise. Don't know if you can hear the noise. And then when you come out the other end, you're onto the aircraft carrier deck. So we've got a Hawker Sea Fire. It's basically a Spitfire. It's a Spitfire that's been slightly modified for carrier operations. I think the undercarriage is a bit stronger. And then in the corner, really nice, a really rare aircraft. This is like a 1950s, a Westland Wyvern. So this got 2 engines. It's got the contra-rotating propellers, and they were quite fast. They were a ground attack aircraft designed in the 1950s for ground attack, but they weren't very successful. The design didn't work very well. See what I mean about the noise? It is quite noisy. And then you've got a Supermarine Attacker, which again is another sort of 50s, 60s aircraft. They would have been a ground attack aircraft, you know, armed with bombs and rockets for attacking ground targets. Probably used in the Suez crisis. You've got a not really nice Sea Vixen that's on a trailer, like on an aircraft carrier deck. And next to it, you've got a bullpup missile. These Sea Vixens were a two-man crew. You had the pilot. You had the pilot up there, sort of thing. The pilot sat in the seat, and then in here, you had the weapons officer. So then he would use the radar to fire his red top or Star Streak missiles. I think they were red top onto the enemy planes. He'd be sat in there running his radar, firing his missiles. You've got this going on as well. This is telling you about a video telling you about aircraft carrier operations from the first landing on an aircraft carrier to the Falklands War. I'll tell you what is really nice, there's a refueling pod. You see this? You'd sling this underneath, you could sling this underneath your Sea Vixen. This would turn, that would turn to give you a bit of power. And then out the back, it's got a basket and a drogue, and that would pull out the back, and then another aircraft could fly in behind it, connect its refueling pipe, and refuel from that. That's really nice. You've got a Buccaneer. You've got a Buccaneer, look, which is nice. 1970s. They were handed over to the RAF and they were used during the Gulf War. But you've got a practice nuclear bomb. So this is like a bit like a tactical nuke type thing, a small nuclear bomb, you know, which you can get your hands on and touch. Rather nice. I think we've got another Sea Harrier, which has got its sidewinders on the rail. Falklands era. No, not Falklands era. So after the Falklands. After the Falklands, it's slightly modified. And then in the corner, you've got a Phantom. F4 Phantom. These were these differ slightly from the American F4 Phantoms because the engines are Rolls-Royce Spays. The engine's actually got more power than an American Phantom, but I think the drag efficiency makes the aircraft a bit slower. I don't know why they wanted to fit Rolls-Royce engines really, but it's rather nice. It's hooked up to a catapult with a ground crew. Look, you can see the cat. It's a bit dark, but you can see the catapult. You can see the sort of hooking it up, and they'd hump up the front wheel, so you get a better angle on the wing, so you get a bit more lift on the when you were shooting it off when you were shooting it off an aircraft carrier. Right, there is this up here, look, which is like they've got this mocked up like an aircraft carrier, and you can go in a lift. You can go in a lift. They've got like an aircraft lift, and you can see different levels from the engine room up until the flight deck, and you can walk round. They've got it done up as an aircraft carrier. You can walk around the control room. You can see radar screens. They've got dummies, all this sort of thing going on. It's quite interesting. I'm not gonna walk you around. but I'll just give you an idea. So basically, when you come in here, you go through them doors, and then that is the lift, like an aircraft carrier lift, and you go through the different decks, sort of thing, and it shows you the different decks from the engine room up to the flight deck. So that's all I'm doing. That's just my quick visit to Yeovil Air Museum. Well worth a visit. A lot of stuff to see. I've not showed you everything. Like I said, you can walk through the concourse, which is well worth doing. But that's all I'm doing for now. I hope you found that interesting. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.